A strange patient arrived at the hospital. Because his body temperature was -2 degrees, the nurse thought the thermometer was broken. He kept changing thermometers, whether in his mouth or in his ear. The measured temperature was always -2 degrees. Everyone was terrified, because this man was not dead. His name is Peter. It turns out he was frozen for 20 years. He just woke up today. Suddenly, his family arrived. They looked at Peter with wide open mouths in astonishment, because he looked exactly the same as 20 years ago. Peter was also puzzled as he looked at them. Why did his family change? A man approached. Peter thought it was his father. Dad. After calling, Dad, he fainted. He didn't expect this person to call him. Brother, big brother. Yes, he was Peter's younger brother. When he woke up again, he looked at his aging mother, and his father calling him brother. Peter started to question life a bit. Suddenly, someone shouted and brought him back. This person came crying beside him. Peter asked who this uncle was. He said he was John, Peter's assistant. Peter quickly ran outside and looked at the date displayed at the hospital. He realized it was now 2019. Peter was thoroughly bewildered. It turned out that in 1999, he had undertaken a project. At that time, Peter was a variety show producer, and he wanted to boost the TV ratings. He found a doctor who had just developed a project that could freeze a whale for 24 hours, and the whale would still survive when put back in water, because whales are mammals too. Peter wanted to make a documentary about it, and asked the doctor to freeze a person. After 24 hours, they would thaw the person. Since no human experiments had been conducted yet, no one dared to be the guinea pig. For the sake of ratings, and for the advancement of humanity, Peter decided to lead by example, and become the guinea pig himself. However, the doctor stated that the experiment required 1 man and 1 woman. Peter found a girl named Mary, known for her boldness. Peter offered her 5 million Korean won if she would accompany him in being frozen for 24 hours. Mary promptly agreed. Subsequently, the two of them were frozen, just 2 hours before thawing. The doctor said he needed to go out, but would be back soon. He entrusted everything to his student, Jack. As soon as the doctor left in his car, it exploded. Quickly, the 2 hours passed. Only the doctor knew how to proceed with the thawing process. Jack didn't know what to do. The laboratory was constantly sounding alarms. Jack could only shut off the power. Peter and Mary, who were frozen, sank with the equipment into the basement. 20 years passed quickly. The doctor, destroyed in the explosion, became a vegetable. He suddenly woke up that day, as if sleepwalking. He opened Peter and Mary's cryogenic chambers, and injected them with an unknown substance. Then the doctor also passed out. That's how they both woke up 20 years later, holding their old flip phones. Looking at unread messages from 20 years ago, they felt a wave of unease, because it was a message from Peter's girlfriend, and they had no idea how she was doing now. At that moment, Mary also arrived on the street, understanding what those things were. Suddenly, Mary noticed the date on a banner. She realized it was now 2019. She suddenly remembered the fortune-telling she had done 20 years ago. At that time, Mary had her career and love life predicted. The fortune-teller said she would be single for 20 years, and after 20 years, her life would be amazing. At that time, Mary was quite annoyed. She didn't expect those 20 years to pass in the blink of an eye. Meanwhile, Peter, who had been unfrozen alongside her, was looking at his flip phone from 20 years ago. My dear, when will you come back? Why haven't you returned? I've been waiting for you all this time. Please come back. I miss you so much. Peter decided to find his girlfriend, Jane. John said that Jane is now a famous anchorwoman at the television station. He suggested going to the cafe downstairs from Dong Sanji building, as Jane goes there every day for a drink. When Peter arrived, he indeed saw her, but Jane no longer looked like she did 20 years ago. She had transformed into a beautiful middle-aged woman. Jane also noticed Peter. She thought she was dreaming, because Peter still looked the same as 20 years ago. Jane had believed that Peter was dead, but she didn't expect him to be alive. Peter apologized to her, because back then, Jane had disagreed with him participating in the cryogenic experiment, but Peter was stubborn, and that's why he ended up like this. Jane couldn't fully accept it. She stood up and left. Later, Peter went to the television station building, because he used to be a producer there. Suddenly, Mary approached him. She slapped Peter directly. You owe me 20 years. The people in the lobby were stunned. What was happening? Due to the confidentiality of the cryogenic project, and fearing Mary would make a scene, Peter quickly pulled her away. Quick thinking, John rushed over. He explained that they were rehearsing for a show, easing everyone's confusion. At this moment, Peter and Mary both sobbed with their heads in their hands. Mary demanded compensation for her loss. Peter called in the 2 executives from the television station, because they were the 3 initiators of the project. Mary said they had agreed on a payment of 5 million for 24 hours of cryogenic freezing. But now, they had been frozen for 20 years. Mary quickly calculated that they should be compensated 35.04 billion yuan, rounded to 50 billion yuan, taking into account the doubling of prices. They demanded compensation of 100 billion yuan. This shocked the 2 executives from the television station, as even selling the station wouldn't be worth that much money. The negotiation was unsuccessful this time. Peter drove his car from 20 years ago to take Mary back. On the way, Mary said, if she hadn't been frozen. When the celebrities came to Korea for concerts, she might have fallen in love with herself. Then he wouldn't have felt so hopeless. Peter was speechless at her words. If she hadn't been frozen, she might have been hit by a car instead. After dropping Mary off, Peter went to his cryogenic laboratory. Jack told him the reason they hadn't made the matter public was because someone wanted to steal the project. The doctor's accident was caused intentionally. Recently, news about their unfreezing had spread online. There might be people who would harm them. He advised Peter to be careful on that day. Peter went to the television station that day because he had been a producer before being frozen. At that time, John was his assistant. Now, John had become the director here. Peter asked John to arrange a position for him against newcomer and wanted to give him a lesson. John witnessed this scene. After witnessing the old employee's attempt to bully Peter, the current director intervened and stopped the situation. He then turned to Peter and said, "Senior, you shocked everyone. I apologize for their behavior. Please let me handle these employees properly." Peter instructed him to discipline those employees and emphasized the importance of raising the company's prestige and ratings. To achieve this, Peter came up with 2 innovative variety show ideas. He suggested gathering male celebrities and having them experience the lives of common people, accompanied by their own children. Alternatively, they could recruit several popular singers as judges and have masked contestants participate in a singing competition. As everyone listened to Peter's proposals, they wore awkward expressions. Peter couldn't understand their reaction and confidently stated that his ideas were ahead of their time. He believed that if these 2 shows were produced, the ratings would undoubtedly be very high. Mary, who was in the park at that time, also felt disconnected from the current era. She noticed that people were using baby strollers for their pets, which made her struggle to accept modern thinking. On that day, Peter sought out Jack and expressed his concern about his body temperature. He explained that his temperature remained around 31 degrees Celsius, and whenever it exceeded 32 degrees, he felt extremely uncomfortable, similar to how a normal person would feel with a fever of 40 degrees. Jack informed Peter that he was researching a medication that would restore both Peter and Mary to normal. Jack also revealed that he had identified the culprit behind the doctor's murder. The individual's name was Chincho, and he was the brother of the owner of a large conglomerate. The person frozen alongside the doctor was the real owner, and Chincho had been impersonating him all this time while controlling his assets. Chincho had also killed the doctor to ensure his brother remained perpetually frozen. Jack informed Peter that he had discovered a method to unfreeze the real owner, and he requested Peter's assistance in reclaiming the owner's assets. With that, they unfroze the owner. Peter produced a video in which the owner revealed the truth about the situation. He then arranged for the video to be broadcast nationwide through the television station. Upon learning of the news, the antagonist realized he was in deep trouble. He decided to hire an assassin to either kill Peter or someone dear to him. One day, Jack summoned Peter to the laboratory and administered the latest developed medication to him. In less than 2 days, Peter's body temperature rose to 36.5 degrees Celsius, making him a normal person again. Peter found Mary and wanted to share the good news with her, urging her to regain her normal state as soon as possible. But while crossing the street, Mary saw someone attempting to kill Peter. After shielding Peter with her own body, Mary was taken to the hospital. However, the doctors said they couldn't perform surgery on her because Mary's body temperature was only 31 degrees. Without anesthesia, surgery was not possible. To restore Mary's normal body temperature, it would take at least a day or more. If they were to administer warming medication in order to save Mary's life, the only option was to freeze her once again. And so, Mary was frozen once more. Peter felt immense guilt. Already having feelings for Mary, he fell deeply in love with her this time. Afterward, Jack tirelessly researched new medications, and soon discovered one that could restore normal body temperature upon unfreezing. Once Mary was unfrozen, she was immediately taken to the operating room, and before long, she made a full recovery. Peter and Mary began a shameless life together from then on.